Hi, welcome to Technique with Tyler. My name is Tyler. We're going to do some technique. All right, guys, in this video, we're going to talk about smooth posture and frame. And I'm going to give you some tips to get you straighter and stronger. All right, guys, we're going to do some smooth, and we're just going to be talking about posture right now. This is something that's good for social and competitive. I'm not going to get too serious about it, but let's get started just straightening out the spine. So the first thing that I'll do is, if you look at me the way I'm standing like this, I'm kind of slouched down. Spine's curved this direction. You see my stomach's out. So one of the first things that I'll do is I'll try to think about my rib cage. Some people say that bringing these closer together. If that doesn't work for you, think about just pull your stomach in, just push it in like you're doing a crunchie. Some people think here from your hip bones or whatever to the ribs to bring them closer together. Whatever you have to do, what we're trying to do is flatten out the back. One way that's effective to talk about actually is take your hips and just tilt them forward like you're doing kind of a thrust. I feel like I'm squeezing my butt cheeks together. So I'm pulling underneath and thinking about my thighs coming forward. These are all different ways to kind of get at the same idea. What I'm trying to do is flatten my back out. So I'm pulling like this. One of the best things you can do is just take your core in. Another way to get at it, just to find it, is to do a hug and then pull back. That's an extreme, but pull this back with it and then stretch up. You might be able to do it that way. Let's start by sitting in a chair. I'm going to sit down, and what I'm going to do is flex into both of my legs. As I flex, I think about my knees moving forward, and my thighs, I'm going to kind of pull them up to the ceiling. What that does is it tilts my tailbone down. And as that happens, you can see my back will flatten out like that. See, here's rounded forward. Here's sway back. What I'm going to do is pull that back in, tilt under, and I'm trying to flatten my back out completely like that. Now, once I have my core in, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to stretch my neck up, and I want the top of my head to try to touch the ceiling. Stretch to the ceiling. The other thing that happens a lot of times when people do that, they look up. They'll tilt their chin up and their nose. Tilt it down. You don't want a double chin, but you want to stretch your spine. Just try to touch the ceiling and then sit in a chair and tilt at the same time. Now, I have some coaches that call this, we have two centers. We have the center of gravity, which is down in here. We have a center of levitation. It lifts us up. So you think about the gravity sitting to the floor, levitation stretching up, and that will stretch your spine out like that. So tilting this forward. Tilt the whole plane, sit forward, flatten the back out. And this is going to be a really weird position to move in. It's going to take a long time. It's a lot of thigh work. You should feel really tight in here, not pain, really a lot of tension in the thighs, and squeeze your butt cheeks together. Squeeze them in when you do that. That should strengthen your back. And stretch. See how my head's forward like this? I'm stretch it to the ceiling. And the center of levitation here, my center is going to go up to the top. So this is coming up, and this is coming down at the same time, like that, stretching my spine as much as I can. So that will keep straight. Now, I look kind of weird, right? When I move, I look like a frog. When we go tango, we do tango walks. This is your posture. You're actually down here, like that. I mean, it's a weird position. You get used to it. We're really trying to just strengthen out the back. People will say that these 4 points, my shoulders and my hips, are a rectangle. So if I draw a line all the way through, that's one plane. My body is a rectangle. So to find this, a lot of times I imagine that I'm like holding a box or something like this, and then I'm holding my box, and then when you move with a box, like your hands don't slide different directions, right? So what we're talking about here is once I found my posture, I want to move my torso as one piece. So my rectangle is turning at the same rate in anything I do. And so this is different from like rhythm where I would be moving my pieces separately. Smooth moves one piece and standard but we're not talking about standard here because that's not my specialty. So we're turning here, we're turning on the leg, and if I turn my body, I rotate the whole thing, one whole piece. All right, so practice that. You could step foot to foot and just turn. If I'm doing my actions, let's say I'm doing a waltz box, I'm going to try to make sure that I'm maintaining the same tilt with my rectangle and the same rotation and sway with my rectangle. Get into all those different things later, swing, sway, rotation, shaping, all separate videos. But right now, we're just talking about the rectangle. Once I've got my posture in place, now turn it all in one piece, like this. One more thing to mention about the rectangle is that when a lot of times I'm teaching my leaders, how to lead using the rectangle, because they'll move their body and they'll break the rectangle away from their arms and elbows, and that's a frame thing. We'll talk about frame in a second. A lot of times I just tell them to imagine they're a forklift. Like when you drive a forklift, when the forklift turns, the arms turn. Your frame turns. So put your arms out there and imagine you're a forklift when you're dancing. So if you have your lady in the frame and you're just turning your body and your forks go with it, then you're actually going to be a pretty good leader, because you're going to have a nice, solid, sturdy frame, and you're not going to lie to her. You're not going to go this way with your body, that way with your arms, and she's going to be all off balance and confused. Okay, so we're moving on to a basic frame. We've got our posture, right? We pulled this in, we sat down, we stretched our head to the sky, we're stretching the center of gravity away from center of levitation. Now, what we're going to put into place is we're going to lift our elbows. So lift your elbows. Imagine you're a ballerina or hugging a giant beach ball. You want a little bit of curve in your elbows. You're going to bring them higher. You could have them almost flat, but you don't want them behind your back. That's bad frame. You don't actually need them 100% flat, especially if you're doing social. They can be out in front a little bit. That's fine. So we're going to elevate. So one thing that's important is you want to lift from the big muscles in the back, the lats. So you're going to scoop from underneath when you come into frame. And so you want to bend and then keep your shoulder down. So a lot of people, they'll lift their arms or elbows up, and then they'll look like this. We want to pull those shoulders down and elbows a little bit forward. That'll help you. So this hand's going to go on the lady's back. We all kind of know that, right? Like right under her shoulder here. And then, of course, I'm just talking about the leaders right now. And then we're going to rotate. So if we had our beach ball or whatever, just rotate your left arm up, and your elbow will rotate a little bit in on the left side, but not much. And then you take your hand and then rotate it this direction. And then it would come into a soft grip right here. So that's a basic frame. Now, as we're doing that frame, one thing to mention is that this hand is about the partner's eye level, the lady's eye level. If it's up above her eye level, it's too high. So bring that down. So we're going to have it about not our eye level, her eye level, right? So we're going to be right here. And for a leader, we want to keep our nose kind of pointing the same direction as our rectangle, as we mentioned earlier, the rectangle turning. You're going to keep your nose with it. So you want to be fairly straight up and down with your head. You look a little bit left. This is too far. That's broken. You don't need to get out here like the lady, right? So you're just going to look a little bit left over her right shoulder. Just a little bit. Okay, so that's a basic guide's frame. Find your posture, sit into your chair, and then lift. You can think about pull your forks up and then bend your elbows back a little bit, and then just rotate that up. Hand goes out this way, and then you're going to be in frame. Now we have our forks will move with our body and our rectangle as one piece, and we're going to be very good leader, very solid frame. All right, so for the followers part, we're going to do a little bit differently. We're going to be ballerinas. We're going to pull in like this, and then I'm going to lift my right arm, and then I'm not going to be as far out as him. You're going to curl over the top like this. Now, for a lady, we're going to sit under there in their chair, straighten our spine, and then we're going to come over, and then we're going to wrap this around. This will go on his deltoid, or in some cases goes back behind in tango, but we're not going to worry about that right now. It's just going to be out here. Good. So what we're going to do is we're going to twist a little bit, and we're going to put our head out this direction. So our chin's going to tilt toward this hip. You want the chin to tilt toward that hip, and then kind of lay out. So let my temple kind of take a nap over the top. I have a coach that says do a high jump. You're going to lean over the back. So you're going to high jump back and then tilt your chin toward this hip. So that would be a start to the basic positioning for a lady in frame. So she's sitting under here. I'm turning my chin towards this hip. I'm going to let my temple fall over the top of the shoulder coming up and lifting underneath. And I'll do a little high jump. Imagine I'm a high jumper, high jumping back over the bar here. Send my pelvis forward into my partner. This is for a more competitive frame. It does work in ballroom. The last thing, this is one of my coaches says, and it's really great, is we want to kind of wrap our head around it, like put you in the perfect position. If you just imagine that the guy's neck is right here and you're going to bite it, like you're a vampire, and you're just going to, like, so here you're in frame, and you're just going to get it. You don't want to lean forward, but you're going to get the right angle just to get in there and bite a big chunk out of it. Well, you're not going to bite it. You're going to siphon the blood. I don't know what vampire does, apparently. So you get into your frame, your ballerina. This comes up. This drops down. No, don't do your wrist like that. That's actually down like this. I made a claw for some reason. All right, so we're here. Frames in. Tilt your chin, and then bite somebody's neck. Just get in there. Don't be afraid. All right, so that's your basic frame. It's a little more than basic, I guess. That's something you can do in a social situation or competitive. You're going to layer in on top of that. Thanks for watching Technique with Tyler. Be sure to like and share. If you have any requests or questions, go ahead and leave a comment. Be on the lookout for new videos. I'm making some soon. And until then, happy dancing.